Hi, this is Islamic Dad here. I'm going to do a video on narcissism and sex, at least to the extent that I'll be addressing sex within the context of narcissism and drawing upon the examples of the two relationships I did have with narcissists. So, diving head first, I would say that the main thing that I would point to with respect to both of my narcissists in my life and how they approach sex and sex within the relationship was that for them it was a tool for control, and that especially with the malignant narcissist, it was a way to hold leverage, a point to create conflict, and argue about, very much a method of controlling the relationship and basically flexing her muscles, so to speak. And what I mean by that is that, there, I'm sure there are plenty of instances where, with, the malignant narcissist in my past, where it wasn't about whether or not she even wanted sex, in the relationship at that time. More than that, she wanted control. I mean, that was kind of where she prioritized things, is that, having a fulfilling sex life was not as important to her as feeling as if she was in complete control of the relationship and and had control over me. And so, a lot of the experiences I had around that were very strange and odd. And obviously, as you can imagine, ultimately it's self-defeating. I mean, it's just, if you destroy, if you continue to attack and whittle away at the foundation of a marriage, of a relationship, sooner or later there's not going to be any foundation and it will collapse. And that was part of it with my ex-wife, and kind of one of the aspects that really drove things into the ground, and towards the divorce. With my ex-girlfriend, it was again one of those things where certainly not to the extent of my malignant narcissist. My ex-girlfriend was a covert narcissist, and so having control wasn't as important to her. Sometimes it was still a tool to say, have some leverage, or a means to kind of get I don't know, an attack in or something. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're in the same boat, and if you're gonna sit there with an ice pick puncturing holes in the boat because you're mad at me, we're both gonna drown. And again, that's one of those things where, just in general with my memory of the two relationships and how they played out and how they ultimately ended, it was very much that, where it was just, I was in the relationship trying to make things work, and the other person that I was with was saying, yeah, I want to make things work too. And the whole time they're just puncturing holes in this boat that we're both in, and the water is slowly rising, and it's very clear to see we are both going to drown if you continue to do this. And they just kept at it until we were, both 30 feet underwater. So, getting back to the sex part, the other thing that is, kind of an interesting point that I think has been, or is brought up a lot elsewhere with respect to narcissism and sex, is that because narcissists are incapable of empathy to a large extent, and as the relationship goes on, and the honeymoon and love bombing is over, they become very emotionally and sometimes physically distant. And so it's kind of like being in a relationship with a ghost, or just vapors, or a mannequin that's just in the shape of this person that you fell in love with. So they're very, very disconnected. And but when you have sex, there's, for a lot of us, myself included, there's a feeling of connection there. And so it can become, a little bit, I guess, on one hand, confusing that you would feel this disconnect with this person, hop into bed, and then feel this great connection with them again, and then say, oh, this is great, and then the distance returns. And so again, it kind of just adds to the roller coaster effect, and to some extent, I would say even going farther, and plays into the whole trauma bonding, where you have this, you can feel this intimate connection. For you, it's on an emotional level. For you, it might be on a spiritual level. You're feeling very close to this person, and then they just disconnect and vanish. And again, like sex within the relationship with the narcissist can become very much part of that, roller coaster and trauma bond cycle. The other thing I would add is that, I can only speak to the two narcissists I had in my life. The malignant narcissist was very much, very much had sex on the brain. And for her, it was, control through conflict, or just simply control through fear, was very much her number one form of narcissistic supply. That is what she wanted. She wanted that feeling of power. But number two would be sexual attention. Circling back, I mean, with this was, her going through a midlife crisis, 40 years old. So, very much within the range of when it's very typical for people to go through a midlife crisis. And that was kind of the obsessive thought in her head was, am I still sexually attractive? Am I as sexually attractive as I was when I was 21? And so that very much had a grip on her. And so while, again, the aspect of control, power over the situation, power over other people was definitely her top tier favorite form of narcissistic supply, the sexual attention was right there. It was very close. It was, it was number two, but it was there. And like as I said before, it played a large part in the end of the relationship, the end of the marriage. She was obsessed with getting as much attention as possible, in addition to having that narcissistic supply, dealing with the kind of like the addiction to the excitement, all that just made for a really rocky end to that marriage. So, very much for the malignant narcissist in my life, my ex-wife. With my ex-girlfriend, not so much. I mean, it's very different. She was a covert, or is a covert narcissist, and the way sex related was, as I said, she really, to some extent, could not care less about sex one way or the other. Sex is just sex, nothing. Order a pizza. Let's watch a new episode of Good Omens. I mean, it was great. It was fun, but it wasn't like, ranked or prioritized higher than anything else. But where it came, into the relationship in the context of narcissism was that, as a covert narcissist, her number one form of supply was attention. That is what she craved more than anything else. For the most part, she received that attention through being the perpetual victim. Oh, I have this ailment. Oh, I have, this horrible thing that happened to me. I had this, I've been diagnosed with this. And, this, happened to me. There was a long line at the pharmacy, and it went on and on and on. So that was very much how she attained her narcissistic supply of attention. On the side of that was attention from men. Very honestly, let's be honest, very easy to get. And so there was that, what I would refer to as kind of the emotional affair or emotional affairs, kind on the sides of the relationship, where if for whatever reason, she wasn't getting enough attention, from me, from being the perpetual victim with her friends and family, there were always men. And so she could, throw some sexy photos on, social media, or send, sexy photos privately, and just bask in that wonderful, wonderful adoration, compliments, the come-ons, all the comments. And she loved that stuff. I mean, it was great narcissistic supply for her. But again, like in the context of sex with her, again, she couldn't care less about sex per se, but it was a tool in her toolbox. And she knew enough that if she posted, a photo of her wearing like, a baggy sweater, with her hair messed up or something like that, it wasn't going to give her the same attention as if she, put on lots of makeup, had like the earrings matching the necklace, sexy outfit, or, go right past that and have like a very, almost, boudoir type photo or something like that, and just be, flooded with, the comments, and, hearing, people give her the attention and validation that she craved. And so, again, I don't have a crystal ball or anything, but if I, like I've said before, like if I had to bet the house, I don't think my ex-girlfriend ever had a physical affair during the 4 years that I was with her. And I think that, I mean, there's lots of reasons, but one of the things I would point to is like, if you're a narcissist and you're getting enough narcissistic supply through just having a bunch of guys that you're chatting with, and in private, why go out and make that extra effort to cheat when you can just do it from the comfort of your own couch? And so I think for her, the sexual aspect was much more just kind of a tool to get attention. And again, like, I can only speak to my own experiences with my the covert narcissist in my life, and then with the malignant narcissist in my life. So yeah, I mean, outside of that, I don't know if there's a whole lot to add. I guess the only addendum that I would throw in there is that my ex-wife has not changed. I mean, it's been 4 years, and her methods and how she needs narcissistic supply have not changed at all. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, maybe I'm just like, this narcissist thing's kind of still new to me. I was honestly waiting for her to grow out of it. Not simply as she grows older, but just, how much is enough? I mean, at what point do you say, okay, I feel full? And apparently for a narcissist, that's never. And so I would even say that, or I should say, I would even guess that given that the core that drives a narcissist is, the shame, the insecurity, the feelings of inadequacy, that if you have narcissists that use their looks, that and that being sexually attractive is a important method or way of getting narcissistic supply for them, I would think that things could get really interesting as they get older and start to age. I know that with my my ex-wife, she was obsessed with makeup and looking young, and would bait, it was really gross. I mean, she would like go up to other female friends and be like, don't I look young? Don't I look young for my age? And it's like, who the hell says that? And same, even with my covert narcissist, she used to talk about Botox all the time and getting like surgery on her face. And that's the thing, it wasn't even, and she was one who wasn't really like leaning on the sexual attraction that much for narcissistic supply. It was just vanity. It was just simply, as the narcissist ages and gets wrinkles and 2 or 3 chins, or the drooping eyes and gray hair. I mean, you name it. As that happens to them, they can't stand it. They absolutely can't stand it. And all that insecurity and those feelings of inadequacy really grate on them. And so I bet that they keep the plastic surgeons rolling in money, because it's something that I think that they are attuned to much, much more than everyone else. So I hope this video has helped kind of address any thoughts about narcissism and sex within the context of a narcissistic relationship. If you like this video, please subscribe. That way you'll be notified when I make additional videos. And again, if you have any questions or ideas for specific videos that you'd like me to make on a specific issue, please comment below and I will make that for you. Thanks.